Richard, I was at the edge of my seat all day. I was tuned into one game, and I know you had a vested interest in it too. This was kind of our, I guess you could call it rivalry game to a degree. The Seahawks against my hometown Detroit Lions. And there are no gimmies in the NFL, Richard. I don't know if you've heard that before or not.
Mitchell, down DeAndre Swift, down Amon-Ra St. Brown.
The sun god.
51% of their yardage for the season, they're down. Lo and behold, it was never them, Mitchell. It was all Jared Goff. 352 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. Carry them, Jared, carry them. But it's not enough to beat Geno and the boys.
Too many mistakes, Richard. And another insane stat. First time in franchise history, the Seattle Seahawks have not punt in a game.
It's Mitchell, they are running the offense like Pete has always wanted to run it. They got a good run game. Rashad Penny was running the ball, 17 carries, 151, 2 touchdowns. And every time he got a touchdown at the end, it seemed like the game sealer. But nope, Dan Campbell and the Fighting Lions kept coming back, blow after blow after blow after blow, a heavyweight fight. 1,073 yards combined, 12 touchdowns, 93 points. Not the shootout everybody expected, but the shootout you deserved. And Tyreek Woolen, the Rook. Second game, second pick. This time, he showed you. I run 4.2. I'm faster than everybody on the field. There's nobody catching me. Jared Goff, excuse me, you're not athletic like that. Get out of my way. I have celebrating to do.
Richard, if you're not a fan of the NFL and you watch that game, you might well just become a fan. I mean, that was one of the most entertaining games you're going to get in a long time. I mean, two teams that may or may not get into the conversation for the playoffs, but they certainly played a good football game today. And Rich, you talked about it at the beginning of the season. I mean, the Seattle Seahawks here, they sit 500, 2-2 on the year. They're a team that's going to be competitive in every game. They're going to win games like this. Geno Smith looks like a very competent quarterback. He looks like he's going to give him a shot to be in a lot of games. And who knows, man? I mean, do you think 9-8 is out of question? 8-9 out of question? What is the ceiling for this team this year?
I don't know, Mitchell. It just depends on which defense shows up, and they have to show up at some point or another. They need some plays to be made. They're playing pretty solid, but you give up 45 points. That's not winning football. Obviously, they're going through some growing pains, but Tyreek Woolen, you expect things from the Rook. It's not him. The D-line is, Al Woods and the boys are doing what they can, but Jamal Williams still had 19 carries for 108. That was huge, 2 touchdowns. They got to secure that up, but 378 yards passing by Jared Goff is too much. That's what they got to, to get to 9-8, you can't have that. You can't have that. This is a team missing 3 of their top weapons, and you give up 45 points. You're definitely impressed by what the Seahawks were able to do offensively. That's the plan. Always, Pete. Run the ball. Be really safe with the football. Geno Smith has been leading the NFL in accuracy. His accuracy, I think he was at 77%, is probably going to drop a little bit today, but he'll likely still be in the lead. He threw for 300 yards. He's giving you over what they would have expected from him. He's looking like a starter in this league, and like he's making himself a lot of money next year if Seattle doesn't ream up.
And he's keeping DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett happy. I mean, DK had a lot to say about this game going into it. He talked about Jeff Okudah. I know you're happy with Jeff Okudah's play this year, but he said there's a safety over top of him. He's not really locking down people, but he's a good corner. If someone says that to you, Rich, I know some people have slandered your name. If someone says that to you pregame, I mean, what does that do to a guy like Jeffrey Okudah?
Well, I would think it would pump him up and energize him, but he's been having a really solid season, really good season, and I mean, he's playing the coverage they call, but DK called his shot, and he made his shot. 7 for 149 and a bathroom visit on the court. He scared off Seahawks fans. Everybody's panicking, and he said, I just couldn't make it. I couldn't make it to the bathroom. So you know what? I got a ride. He said the clinching walk wouldn't get it done. And I said, that is the first. That is the first. The NFL never ceases to amaze, and DK, you're the winner for this week. That was hilarious. And did you see – let's talk about the Denver game. Another game where it looked like one team was in control, and you're like, uh-oh, here come the Raiders. Here come the Raiders. They're 0-3, about to be 0-4. This division that everybody talks so highly of, including myself, is about to have a team with no wins. And lo and behold, they decide to feed Josh Jacobs the entire game.
And they need to do more of that, Rich. Josh Jacobs, another fun fact, random fact. Josh Jacobs is on my fantasy team, Rich. And I have him on my bench along with Rashad Penny, who are both the high week scorers this week. So, really good start to the week or end of the week for me in that regard on a personal note. But, Richard, you're absolutely right. The Raiders have found their identity. They need to get Josh Jacobs more involved in this offense, and they did. And they were able to take control of this game and not relinquish it.
And that's on a Denver defense that's been incredibly stingy. They have not been giving up yardage. I mean, you just watched them last week against the Niners. I mean, they weren't giving up anything on the ground. They were stingy. They were tough. Today, they gave up a 100-yard receiver, a 100-yard rusher. I mean, you're not expecting that. Russell Wilson played a really solid game. He was efficient, 17 to 25 for 237, 2 touchdowns. 4 rushes. He was moving the ball, got a rushing touchdown, but they were 3 of 11 on third down, and that's what's damning them. Like, it's like if one side shows up, the other side doesn't show up. If the other side shows up, the other side doesn't show up. And a huge loss, a colossal, monumental loss, and people aren't going to appreciate it until later on. But Javonte Williams going down. You pray for his health, but that is a huge loss, and it's because Melvin Gordon is so bad with the football. Like, he's so bad at securing the football. I mean, I think that was his 3rd fumble of the year just this season in 4 games.
That's his 4th fumble of the year, Richard.
My mistake. I'm trying to give him a break. And it goes for a touchdown. Like, that's 7 points. I think one of the fumbles was at the goal line against Seattle. That's another 6-7 points. That's taking points off the board. Not only is he taking points off the board, he's giving them to the other team.
And now they're going to have to lean on him even more. I mean, it looks like Javonte Williams is not going to be back, anytime here in the near future. But, Richard, as bad of a loss as it is for the Denver Broncos, is as huge of a loss, or how huge of a win it is for that Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, they get their first win of the season against a division foe. Devontae Adams has a solid game, 9 catches, over 100 yards. I mean, when we were watching this game, all I could think was, when I was watching this and the Packers, is how much Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams probably miss each other right now. And then Derek Carr just kept slinging him the rock. And that's what they got to do. They got Josh Jacobs established the run, and when in doubt, feed Devontae, Rich.
Feed Devontae. And now you got to give credit to Pat Surtain Jr. Like, Pat Surtain is the real deal. He's a real deal corner. He's a lockdown guy. He's out there. Devontae, people are like, well, he only got a couple plays with Devontae. Most people don't get no plays with Devontae, locking him down. It's a double, it's a triple, it's zoned off, you're clouding him. They were leaving him man-to-man coverage, press, off. He's pedaling, he's breaking down on comebacks, he's covering slants, he's covering some of Devontae's stuff. And the Raiders did a great job moving him in the slot, moving him around, making sure that they could diagnose the coverage. When Pat Surtain wasn't on him, they can just move him in the slot. Hey, we recognize his zone, and then work that. And they worked that magic. They got the ball to Darren Waller. It didn't seem forced today. It didn't seem like they were sitting there like scripting plays for guys like, hey, we got to get Darren 3 targets right now. We got to get Devontae 4 targets right now. What happened to Hunter? We got to get him. Oh, shoot, we got to get Jacobs 12 carries. Let's run the ball until he gets his 12. Like, it just seemed like they went with the flow of the offense. The run game's going, time of possession, they dominated it, 34-25. Like, that's what they need to do. Hopefully they think of that as the winning formula. But the Broncos got some questions to answer, and we will see them on TNF Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. I'll be on talking about them. The game starts at 8:15 Eastern.